Hey friends, welcome back to the Book Talk Etc. YouTube channel. We are so glad you're here and we love making these videos as an accompaniment to our main podcast. And it's our way of adding a little bit of something extra. This week we read from the Goodreads Choice Awards long list, and in the comments we want to know your thoughts on the Goodreads Choice Awards as well as what you'll be voting for this year. Hold on, let me take a break. I talked a lot. Do you have something to say?
No. Nope.
Okay.
Nope, we're good.
Okay.
Keep it going.
Okay. Welcome to Book Talk Etc., a podcast bound to grow your TBR. I'm Tina from TBR Etc.
And I'm Hannah from Handpicked Books.
This is a conversational podcast about books and more from two Midwest mood readers who are easily distracted by new releases. And this week, we read through books from the Goodreads Choice Awards long list.
If you enjoy listening, we'd love for you to follow us on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. And if you love our show, please consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or sharing us on social media. It truly helps us connect with other book lovers.
Hey everyone, it is the start of a brand new month, so we wanted to take the time to invite you to join us on Patreon. Our Patreon group is truly such a wonderful, supportive community of readers. And if you've ever wanted your reading experience to be a little more social, this is a great way to find that connection. Becoming a patron is a great way to financially support our podcast, to meet other readers, and of course, to gain access to our exclusive bonus content. It's $5 a month, and for that, you get 2 bonus episodes each month and 1 live event, as well as invites to our Book Talk Etc. Discord server, Facebook group, and our monthly community read. We also have access to everything we've created since we started. Now, we are revamping our offers for 2026, so now is a great time to consider joining. And you can also put a Patreon membership on your holiday wish list. The link is patreon.com/booktalketc/gift if you would like to request our membership for the holidays. Now, for the December offerings, our live event is going to be one of our favorite things to do. It is our end of the year Mood Reader Happy Hour, where we all come together and share our favorite book for 2025, as well as one of our favorite loving latelys of the year. You can also expect a new episode of Niche Novels and a What's in the Mailbag bonus episode focused on 2026 releases. Finally, our December community read is one that I've already read and loved. It is Best Offer Wins by Marissa Cashino, and I can't wait to discuss it. So if you're interested, of course, head to patreon.com/booktalketc. or look for the link in our show notes, and we thank you so much for your support. Tina from the future here. I wanted to pop in and tell you of 3 other things that we're doing in the month of December and beyond for our Patreon community. We're going to have the most fun, and I wanted to make sure to invite you if you're not already a member. First of all, on December 1st, we are releasing our 2025 Winter Reading Guide, and this is a collection of book recommendations that Hannah and I put together. It's designed to offer every reader a little something to help make the most of the winter season, and we have brought 5 frontlist titles that are going to be released in 2026. We've got some horror, we've got some romance, family drama, etc. So if you're interested in 25 winter-themed book recommendations, you can get that as a patron starting on December 1st, or if you don't want to sign up for our monthly membership, you can buy that separately for $7. We'll include the information below here in our show notes, as well as on our Instagram. So that's part 1. Part 2, we are going to be live reacting to the Goodreads Choice Awards. That will be happening on Thursday, December 4th, when the winners are announced in the evening. Hannah and I will go live on our YouTube channel, and we'll share the link with our patrons. So if you want to see us react to the winners of the Goodreads Choice Awards, definitely be sure to join our Patreon now. And also, we are planning a readathon. We wanted to give a major thank you to Genevieve and Amy, 2 of our longtime patrons who really helped us put this together. But we're doing a readathon, and our patrons can sign up now. It is a Battle of the Winter Blues readathon for the month of January. Whoever signs up for this readathon is going to be placed onto one of 3 teams, either Team Tina, Team Hannah, or Team Jonathan. And as they read through every book in the month of January, they can submit their title and get a certain amount of points. And the team with the most points wins, of course. You do not have to be in our Discord to participate, but it's really going to be a lot of fun because we'll be hosting reading sprints in Discord if you do If you do want to head over there, there's also going to be themed bingo boards and some other fun surprises. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, again, you can get the winter reading guide, our readathon, and our reaction to the live Goodreads Choice Awards, in addition to all of the other content mentioned previously, for $5 a month. So again, head to patreon.com/booktalk, etc. if you're interested in any of that. Hey, Hannah.
Hey, Tina, how are you?
Oh, medium. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I had a great day so far,
Yay.
and I'm really excited to talk about the Goodreads Choice Awards. I
Oh
want
my
to hear about your
goodness.
challenge. I'm just
Mhm.
really geeked that we decided to do this for an episode.
I know. I'm glad that you noticed. You're like, wait a minute, we are missing a theme. And sort of right away, we're like, obviously, I'm in the thick of my personal reading challenge. So why not talk about the Goodreads Choice Awards a little bit more widely on the podcast? And in case you're like, what are you talking about? I decided I wanted to read through the entire long list for the Goodreads Choice Awards, specifically for mystery and thriller. As of this recording, I actually just finished my 15th book. So now I have 5 left to go out of the 20. And I'm pretty
You're
proud of
on the
that.
home stretch.
I am
Yeah.
in the home stretch. I've gotten through some big boys that I was a little less enthused about. There's still a few I'm not so sure about, but I will be so happy to share my thoughts on the experience when I'm done reading through this list. But for today, Hannah and I both grabbed a couple that we have read that were on the list for nominees. They're not
Yeah, one
necessarily
of the
mystery and thriller,
categories.
though.
Right.
Yes, exactly. We will definitely get into the Goodreads Choice Awards, our thoughts about it during the book talk section of our podcast. But first, I wanted to share my loving lately. And my loving lately is a company that you'll want to get on our radar. I'm grabbing a lighter, so Hannah might be able to guess what my loving lately is. It is a candle
Ooh.
company. Actually, it's not a candle company. It's a bookish merch company. It is called Fly Paper Products. And the candle I'm holding is called Book Lover, and it's lavender and lemon and jasmine. And on the bottom, it says, so many books, so little time. So this is something that I was really interested in because not just necessarily their candles, but they have their tagline is literary gifts for book lovers. And I was like, say more. I want to know about this. And I discovered that they are a small, women owned and run creative business out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I was first introduced to this candle
Nice.
or this company, right? Little Michigander tie in there.
Mm-hmm.
I was first introduced to this company because my neighbors bought this candle for me. So thank you, B&T. And this is my podcasting candle. So what I mean by that is every time we record, I come downstairs, I light my candle. And it just like gets me in the podcasting mood. And I started getting nervous because I've had this for maybe a month and a half now, and I'm like, it's halfway gone. As candles do, they burn. So I was like, what am I going to do when it's gone? I'm going to need a new podcast candle. So I started looking into them, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is a real gem. Now, my neighbors got this from our local bookstore, but I searched, and they have an Etsy store as well as their own website, and they are stocked with gifts and bookish merch. They have these pre-made gift box sets that look so awesome, and they're like reasonably priced, maybe $60 or so. And there's a fair amount of stuff in it. So there's one for Pride and Prejudice. There's one that says like The Raven, and it's centered on Edgar Allan Poe. And of course, they also have a ton of standalone items like the candle I showed, but they've also got coffee cups and tumblers and pencils, pads of paper, all sorts of adorable things. And I would say, 'tis the season. Hard to believe it's in the last month of 2025. So it is gift giving season. And I just wanted to shout out this company in case you have any book lovers in your life that you need to shop for, or if you want to like buy yourself a gift. But my loving lately is this company called Fly Paper Products.
We love a bookish merch company. I
Yes,
love their website. It's so cute. It
it
says
is
gifts for
cute.
librarians.
Mhm.
It's darling.
It's
I
very
love
cute.
that. Okay, my loving lately is an account,
Mhm.
and it is Matthew Bounds from Your Barefoot Neighbor. Do you follow him?
I love him. I would have
Oh,
assumed we've already talked about him. I'm glad to know that he is a new recommendation to the show.
oh, well, I'm so glad that I can bring him to the show. He started doing recipes back in the day. He was doing a lot of crock pot recipes, easy things to toss together for dinner, easy meals to get on the table.
Mhm.
And he has since come out with a book full of recipes, and he's just come a long way in his success and career that started out with just a TikTok channel and Instagram channel. But not only do I love his simple and easy recipes that have very minimal ingredients, they're very doable, like weeknight dinners. He also is just a lovely person. Recently, he raised around 350,000 to distribute to several organizations, including the Gulf Coast Center for Nonviolence, Knox Pride Center Food Pantry, Penelope House, and Habitat for Humanity, as well as just many other organizations that are doing amazing things for people all over the country. One of my favorite things about watching his videos is seeing the cute little inspiring or funny quotes that he puts on his little board in the
Mhm.
back, depending on the nature of his video. Sometimes they're like a little bit spicy or snarky, and usually they are just wholesome, wonderful quotes that he has in the background. And it's just become a fun, it's like canon for him and his channel. And I love that. He has been a joy to follow through his journey as a content creator, and I'm really proud of him for making a career out of this. He has a cookbook now, and
Mhm.
I just think that he's worth paying attention to and supporting. So I will link to his social channels, but also his recipe book if you're interested in that, and his website in the show notes. And I think you should check him out. That is Matthew Bounds from Your Barefoot Neighbor.
I love him. I'm so glad you brought this creator.
Yay.
And I've made a couple of his dishes. My favorite thing about him is like, come get you a plate. And he's Southern. He's like,
Yes.
hey, y'all. And I'm like, oh, I love it. Okay. It's just very, he comes across as very genuine. And I'm glad to hear
He
he's doing,
is.
all of these good things as well. He's got a website too. So I just love being able to find and support these creators and share them on our podcast because I feel like we could all use more excellent people to follow. And I certainly can always use more recipes.
Yes, same.
All right. So I've decided to structure my day. We're bringing 3 books, and since I've been reading through all of the mystery and thrillers, I had plenty to choose from. So I've decided to structure my day by bringing my least favorite to most favorite to the show. Do you know
Ooh,
what I'm saying? Okay.
fun.
Okay. You're with me.
Okay. Yes, I'm
So
with you.
now, okay. And let me explain. My first book that was my latest read that I finished maybe 3 days ago is Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell. And I'm a Lisa Jewell someday I'd like to read all of her books. I actually went in and counted. I've only read 7, 8 now that I've finished this one, which that's a lot from one author, but look at her list here. She has maybe 20 books on this list. So I have
Yeah.
a long way to go if I ever want to become a completionist, but that is okay. This one is about the perfect man, and his name in the beginning is Nick. And I say in the beginning because we come to find out there are a lot of things at play here, but at the center is this con man. And initially, it opens with Nina, who's pretty intrigued. She receives this condolence card from somebody that used to work with her deceased husband. And he's sort of like offering his condolences. A couple months later, he sends something else. It's a lighter. And he's like, oh my gosh, I found this. It used to be your husband's, whatever. And then it flashes forward a little bit in time, and it turns out now they're dating. And Nina's adult daughter is like, absolutely not. She doesn't buy it. She's not into this man. And she's like, this guy is too good to be true. Simultaneously, you're also following Martha. Martha is a florist who's living nearby, sort of in the same area in England. She has an infant daughter and 2 sort of older sons, and her husband Alistair. Alistair keeps these crazy hours and he's been traveling more and more for work. And when Martha corners him about it, he always has a legitimate explanation and ends up blaming it on he has ADHD and this and that. He has a reason for everything. And these women are connected. And that is what I will say to you about this story. You're looking at this if you're seeing me on YouTube. Actually, let me cover parts up. Don't look too closely, but as you can see, there is a long character list. This side here is all of the characters I was trying to keep track of. So that is my first critique. There are a lot of characters. And that's okay. I did, though, start doing this solely on audio. And I was like, I'm confused. I'm not into it. Just because I was like not following, because not only do you have different characters you're trying to keep straight, you've got different timelines too. And I was like, wait a minute, where am I in time? Who am I following. There were some good reveals. This story is getting very mild reviews from folks that are thriller
Mm-hmm.
lovers or from folks that have read it. It's not people's favorite, and I would agree with that. Some people really hate this book. I hate to say it. I don't hate it. I was entertained, but again, once I had to really get my bearings to try and figure out what was going on. Do you all remember, and I brought this as a loving lately, do you guys remember Risa Tisa on TikTok? Who Did I Marry or whatever? It was this woman who had
Oh.
this, I mean, 75, 100 part series about how she was basically being swindled by her partner. And the author references that tale in her book. So if you like con stories, you might like this one. I was intrigued once I got far enough into it because I wanted to see how it all would come together. I had my theories. I may or may not have been right. I don't want to, spoil anything. I will say if you want a thriller that is a little bit lighter, this could be good. It doesn't get too super dark. Obviously, there's gaslighting and manipulating, of course, but there's not outright violence. There are violent things that are alluded to, but most of those happen off the page. I quite liked the ending for me. I thought the ending made sense. Do you have to suspend your disbelief? Absolutely. Definitely, 100% yes, but that sometimes is the case. That's par for the course often for thrillers. I don't think this did anything that was egregious. I didn't, you sort of have to buy it, and I enjoy the ending. So that is my lukewarm recommendation. If I'm assigning a star rating, I would give it 3.75 stars, somewhere in the middle. I'm not going to spoil my rankings yet, but at the end of my experience, I will be ranking all of the mystery and thrillers that were nominated for the long list. This falls somewhere currently right in the middle. So that's what this is. It's Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell.
It's always hard, I feel like, to review those kind of lukewarm books, but you did a really great job with
Hey,
that one.
thanks. Yeah.
I have read Lisa Jewell before
Uh-huh.
and liked her okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I would be open to trying her again, but I have not heard that this is her best work.
Yeah. I would recommend Then She Was Gone would be my
Okay.
starter pack if a person's trying to get into Lisa Jewell. Do you know which one you've read?
I read The Family Upstairs.
Oh, yes.
I
Very,
enjoyed that one. I thought it was
yes.
good.
Yeah. That one,
Culty, kind of dark, but
mhm,
also just had some good plot directions. I don't know, I
yeah.
really liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that one for me is similar to this one I just finished, Don't Let Him In. So
Okay, good to
Then
know.
She Was Gone would be my starter
Next.
recommendation for my next recommendation for you.
Well, maybe that's where I'll turn to next. Okay, my latest read is not technically a latest read. It is a book that I read a long time ago, but it is not one that I have yet reviewed on the podcast. And I thought now would be a perfect time because it is a holiday novel, and I don't read a lot of these, and I don't enjoy a ton of them, but this is one that I thought was really cute, and I thought now would be a great time to recommend it with the holidays coming up, and that is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren.
Ooh.
Yes, this one is so fun. And this one is apt for this episode too because it was a Goodreads Choice Awards nominee for
Ah.
Romance in 2020. So I thought that that would be a good one to bring today. This is set during the Christmas holiday, and it's the most wonderful time of year, but not for Malin Jones. She is living with her parents. She hates her going nowhere job and has just made a romantic error of epic proportions. But perhaps worst of all, this is the last Christmas that May will be at her favorite place in the world, the snowy Utah cabin where she and her family have spent every holiday since she was born, along with two other beloved families. Mentally melting down as she drives away from the cabin for the final time, May throws out what she thinks is a simple plea to the universe: please show me what will make me happy. But the next thing she knows, tires screech and metal collides and everything goes black. But when May gasps awake, she is on an airplane bound for Utah, where she begins the same holiday all over again. With one hilarious disaster after another sending her back to the plane, May must figure out how to break free of the strange time loop and finally get her true love under the mistletoe. So, this is a classic ground what's that? So this is a classic Groundhog Day
Mm-hmm.
novel, which, okay, those can get a little tiresome, but I thought that this one was pretty fun. I have read mm, not almost all of Christina Lauren's books, but I have read a lot of their work and I really enjoy their writing style. Consistently, I think that what this author duo does well is create a narrative that is so compulsively readable. No matter who the love interests are or what the setting is, there's just an addictive writing style, and their talent shines through here. This is a love story, of course. Most of their books are. However, I think that the one thing that I would say is a critique about this one is that the hero felt a little bit bland and immature in
Mm-hmm.
comparison to our heroine. Thankfully, I really loved May. And overall, I just found the characters and the family dynamics and all of these people hanging out together a really enjoyable experience. And it's just the perfect holiday read. It is saccharine. So if you don't want something
Mm-hmm.
that is really sweet, then don't read this. But honestly, I really like that when it comes to holiday reading. This was super fun, really easy, a great holiday romance that I personally read in 24 hours. I remember that from when I read it. I never read books that quickly. And this one I just devoured. Really corny, an absolutely unbelievable romance. But if you like Hallmark, I think you'll enjoy this. And
Mm-hmm.
that is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren.
In a stunning twist, I too loved this book. I read
Did
it.
you really?
Loved it. Can you believe it? It's a
I
Groundhog
can't
Day.
believe it.
It's a Groundhog Day and slightly cheesy. Excuse me. I think this was a book club pick for one of my book clubs that I'm in.
Oh, I love
And I
that.
remember being like, grumble, grumble, grumble. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is addicting. It's really good. I remember liking the main character. And I also liked, this is like such a non important thing, but if memory serves, the families all go to the same Utah cabin
Yes.
and they were having to sell it or something was going on and she was like really upset with
Hmm.
the fact that they were no longer going to have this like epic trip together and I just remember thinking I love the sound of that. Like how fun would that be to take the
Exactly.
same nostalgic family trip around the holidays? So this is a double recommendation
Oh,
and
I love that.
uh-huh.
I
I'm
would have
happy you
never
brought that
guessed.
cuz right you would have you'd be like what? You like this one? But I did. I really did. It was a great one. Good recommendation especially for this time of year.
Exactly. And it fit in with the Goodreads Choice Awards in
Mhm.
a, past life. So figured it
Right.
was fitting.
And it's funny too. So now we'll transition into our thoughts on the Goodreads Choice Awards. I actually like that they leave it up in the website
Yeah, me
where if
too.
you look it up, you'll always see like this was a Goodreads Choice Award nominee for Reader's Favorite Romance in 2020. And I like that. I though am a person that likes a Oprah's Book Club stamp or emblem or Reese, whatever. I know
Hmm.
I'm very, very much in the minority about that, but why I like it, I'm somebody that annotates their books. I mark things up. I make it my own. And there's something to being able to say, like, I have a copy of Sula from years and years and years ago, and I grabbed it and I was like, oh, this was an Oprah's book club pick. Does it really mean anything in the grand scheme of things? No, but I still like knowing that it was an Oprah pick or that it was nominated for the Goodreads choice. It just sort of gives me like a little extra smile when I go for those types of stories. And plus,
Hmm.
I guess this begs the question though, especially for Goodreads choice. If you see that tag, does it make you think it's going to be a good read?
I don't think it makes me think anything in particular. It
Yeah,
it makes me think, oh, this was a popular read.
got it. Yes, yes, yes. Because at the end of the day, of course, the Goodreads Choice Awards are very much a popularity contest.
Totally.
I think they are a fun thing to follow. We are unapologetically just nerds about it in that we react to them. We've done it 2 years now. We've reacted live with our patrons, and it was just so
So
fun.
fun.
It was one of the most fun things we've done as a podcast this year. Just, I don't know what it is. I just think it's the anticipation, and I love an end of the year awards list.
Yeah, well, and everybody got to chime in too and
Yes.
say what they thought and say what they
Mm-hmm.
were voting for. And it was
Mm-hmm.
just a really fun community experience. And it's just fun to do something live with
Yeah,
other people and respond, I don't know, just really organically to
right.
everything and then do it together as a community experience. It was just really fun.
It was so good. It was so good. And So we reacted live. Like we didn't know what was going to be on it. We hadn't looked ahead of time. And
You had guessed for the mystery and thrillers, which was fun.
thank you. Yes, I did. So I did create a video because I was so curious. And listeners, I'm way too into new releases. But it's fun. It still brings me joy. And so I pay close attention to what's coming out. So I was like, okay, let me see how many of these I can get right. So I in my video put out a list of 20 that I thought would be nominated. And I ended up getting what a cliffhanger. Let's see. How many did I get right? I want to say 12, but hold on. I ended up getting 14 right out of 20, which is pretty gosh
That
darn
is
good.
really good. No, that's
Yeah,
really good.
that's pretty good. So, of course, immediately my brain, because of the person I am, I'm like, well, am I going to be able to beat that next year? Why does it matter? But if you are somebody
It's
that
fun
sort
to
of
think about.
yeah, if you like to, look at lists and things like that, of course, it's fun to think about. So we didn't know it was going to be on it. And I still, though, I remember one of our patrons had a question. They're like, do we know how these get chosen? And
Mhm.
I don't know that we do. I know for my list, when I was predicting, I sort of went ahead and looked at my knowledge from what is in the general consciousness of people, like what books people have been talking about online. I, of course, looked at the overall rating. I looked at the number of ratings. And then I looked at the authors themselves because I do think there are some that were nominated that
Yep,
only got on it because of the fame of the authors. I'm speaking to the Reese Witherspoon and Harlan Coben book. I'm like,
totally.
I don't know if that should have been on there. Of course, it's just one person's opinion, but I am still very curious to know how they get on the list. We did discover, though, that they have to have a minimum rating of 3.5 or better. So they cannot be rated lower than 3.5, which knocked out some that I really enjoyed that couldn't make it because they were rated too lowly. And we also discovered that there's no limit to how many books a person can be on the long list with. We
Looking
discovered
at you,
this.
Frida.
We're looking at you, Frida McFadden. Frida has 3 books out of the 20 that were nominated for Goodreads Choice, which I personally think is too many.
Mhm.
Do you think it should be capped at 1, 2? Do you not have an opinion on that?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like it should be capped at 1.
Yeah, right? And like the
Just
best of the ones from this author.
the highest rated, the most added to want
Yeah,
to read, the most. That's another thing that I feel like has to be counted toward whether or not it makes it into a category is if people hit the want to read button, because
absolutely.
Cursed Daughters was on there by Oyenkin Braithwaite, and that had just come out, I think, that week
Yep.
when it was added to the Goodreads Choice Awards list. And so it has to be considered because not enough people would have been able to read it in time for the awards to have nominated it.
You are right. And so there has to be a want to read or some sort of formula.
Yeah,
Maybe
like
it's all
tagging.
maybe tagging. Maybe it's just, it can't be random. There's definitely got to be some sort of rhyme or reason to this.
They have a formula, or like a, not a formula, but a process.
Yes. But who's they? Who's they?
I don't
The
know. The
Goodreads people?
Goodreads people,
The
the
people behind
gods
the
behind.
Goodreads? If you're the people
Yeah.
behind the Goodreads Choice Awards, please reach out. We want to know more. I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention the lack of diversity across
Mm-hmm.
many of the categories in the Goodreads Choice Awards. There is this fantastic article from Book Riot written by Kelly Jensen. She wrote this
Oh.
it was published back in January. We can link to this in our show notes. And essentially, they're just talking about how many people voted. It says there were 6.2 million members of Goodreads that voted in their annual Reader's Choice Awards. But that is so many people. And that is why it's so important
Mm-hmm.
for the awards to be balanced. And I think that's why you can't have one author with 3 books in there because you're sort of
Yes.
taking up space for others that are very worthy, right? That just don't have they didn't have that viral special sauce, whatever it is, but
Mm-hmm.
still are worthy nominees. Because I guess the question is, are they recommending and offering us the literal best or the most popular? I don't know.
I mean, I definitely think that it's the most popular.
Yeah, it would be nice if it was literally like the best. And again, not sure how one would quantify the best outside of rating and number of times it was added to the lists. But I mean,
Yeah, then you have, I think when it's in the hands of readers in general, it's just going to be hard to not make it a popularity contest because you even have readers out there who will rate a book 5 stars before they've read it or before its release date just because they love the author and they want to support them. So it's if you're a popular author and you have a new book coming out, then you're going to have readers on there already
mhm.
adding it to their want to read, rating it 5 stars, etc.
Yeah, I know. And then the cutoffs is another thing too, because I believe it had to be released with like you said, the Oink and Braithwaite one was released that week. I'm glad it got
Mhm.
nominated still
Me
because
too.
I do think it will get there. And but yeah, that's the cutoff is just another thing that I'm thinking about because I'm like, I think there was at least two that weren't released yet that were nominated from the entire list, not just from
Which is just
mystery.
wild.
It's kind of interesting. So I don't know
Is the
what the
cutoff
answer is
end
for that.
of November?
Cutoff's November. Yeah, I believe it's like no the day or two before the awards are released.
So then are books considered from like for this year, would books be considered from from December of 2024?
Yeah, I think you literally could
Okay.
be nominated for like the day after the cutoff. So even end of November 2025 could be nominated in the 2026 awards, which is kind of a
Interesting.
bummer for some of the folks that are the authors that are having books released in the end of November and
I
in December.
know,
Cause like technically they could be on the list, but
but you kind of forget
you
about
forget and
them.
like the buzz has gone.
Yeah.
Although on the opposite side of the coin, right, they've had more time then for people to add it to their want to read list.
That's true. So, moving on from the voting process of the Goodreads Choice Awards, I wanted to ask you specifically about a couple of categories
Mm.
because I know that on top of the thriller and mystery
Mhm.
categories, you were particularly excited about a few others. And I want to know what you thought about them, specifically horror
Yeah.
and fiction and debut, because those are ones that I know you look at. And
Yep.
I didn't know if you had any strong feelings about any or all of those three categories.
I always have strong feelings about the Goodreads Choice Awards and the books that are nominated.
Hmm.
I think horror was missing some good ones. I think there were some that were
Same.
missing, right? I was not surprised to see Stephen King on here, although I actually put Never Flinch on my mystery and thriller prediction list because I
Uh
don't
huh.
know that's horror, but because it's Stephen King, I think it got lumped
They
into
slotted there.
there. And it kind of is a bummer, I think, because I think people are going to be like, "Oh, I don't know, I didn't read anything from here, Stephen King," right? And it's like, I think people will just even if they haven't read it or seen, read the others in the category, they're going to see Stephen King and vote for it. But by and large, there are some that I think are really solid on the list. I loved The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno
Hmm.
Garcia. I loved When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. I love anything Nat Cassidy does. I also really enjoyed Immaculate Conception, but the one that got my vote, at least now, so as we're recording this, it's still in the long list season. We have not received the short list yet. My vote was Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang. And I'm really happy to see that on there because that is one of my favorite books of the year, let alone favorite horror books. But I think there's some really good ones on here. I also see some debut authors and then I see some that I think are expected. Um, what about you? Did you have any strong reaction to the horror one specifically?
Well, I
I
was
mean, I
really
remember I was
disappointed.
there, but
Yeah, I was
tell,
really
that's right.
disappointed that the Chuck Wendig, The Staircase in the Woods, was not included. And I did check because I wondered, I knew it hadn't gotten incredibly positive reviews. And so I checked to see if it met that 3.5 benchmark. And it did. It has an average rating of 3.52. So it
Got it.
must just not have had the popularity. But I was pretty disappointed in that.
Yeah.
I was happy to see The Bewitching on there.
Yep.
There are so many that are high on my TBR, specifically Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle.
Mhm.
I'm really excited to read that one. I haven't yet. It was on my summer bonanza and I just haven't gotten to it, but I'm still kind of I'm really hoping that I can read it by the end of the year. Really
Yeah.
crossing my fingers off.
That one sounds
So,
like a wild time, and I would love to hear you talk
ugh,
about it. Sounds really, really fun.
I said crossing my fingers off. I don't know why I
Crossing
said
my
that.
fingers off. You're crossing your fingers off. We know what you meant.
I'm crossing my fingers so hard, they're just gonna fall off.
Fly right off your hand. Um, I will say I'm very proud of us because all of the books we
I know.
all the books
I
we
know what you're gonna
read.
say.
I know you know, but okay. All of the books that we had as our read with BTE community reads,
Yes.
all of them were nominated except for Hannah's favorite book, the
Oh, The Staircase in the Woods.
the Staircase in the Woods, the Chuck Wendig one. But all of our other picks were nominated. So like, hey, we've got the finger
We're
on the
popular gals.
we're popular gals. We've got our finger on the pulse of what's popular. The other ones you had asked about were the general fiction category, and I was happy with the ones that I see on here. A lot of them are on my TBR. I was actually surprised to see how many I haven't read yet. I feel like I
Yeah.
usually do a better job with general fiction. This year I just got sucked into the mystery thriller wormhole. But there are some. You had mentioned you want to read the Chuck Tingle by the end of the year. I want to read The Names by the end of the year, which is here on the
Yes.
long list. I would also love to read People Like Us by Jason Mott by the end of the year. There's some
Mhm.
obvious ones, I think. Elin Hilderbrand was nominated, Heart the Lover, Lily King, the Bachman book, which is one I also want to read. But in this category, of course, I had to pick my girl, Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. That's the one that got my vote.
Yeah, I ended up voting for My Friends by Frederick
Yeah.
Bachman for this one. I almost voted for The Names, but I ended up deciding to vote for The Names under the debut
Yes.
category. So I had read 6 from the fiction section, which I was impressed with myself. I feel like I don't consider myself as someone who is on the pulse with new releases
Yeah.
always, but I think thanks to the podcast, especially, I've been reading and prioritizing new releases more than maybe I have in the past. I always did, but I think I'm even paying attention to it more. Even if I don't read them, I've
Yep.
heard of them even.
Right.
So, yeah, that was kind of exciting.
That is exciting. I'm glad to hear that. I've read 4 of those, but probably by the end of the year I'll hop a few more on my list. Now, the one that I love is debut. I love debuts, and I feel like I just am always happy when I discover a debut author. I have a couple
Hmm.
on this list that I really, really loved. I loved Woodworking by Emily St. James. I would love to see that on the short list. Oh my goodness. I don't know if it will get there. I also loved Homeseeking by Carissa Chen, but the one that got my vote is Dominion by Addie Kitchens. Folks, if you haven't read Dominion yet, can you please add it to your TBR? It's only like 250 pages, and I thought it was just an outstanding debut and just such a great story.
I remember you talking about that one
I
on the
loved
podcast
it.
when you brought it. And I believe my mom is currently reading it right now
Oh,
because of your
mom,
recommendation. So,
let me know what you think.
yeah, I'm sure she will. Well, she'll let me know. That's for sure.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
And I'll let you know.
Don't tell me if you didn't like it. Don't tell me. You know my rules. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
Did you
Well,
read
you'll know if you
Junie?
hear from me or not, I guess.
There you go. Right. Did you read Junie from this list? I forget.
I tried Junie and I gave it a soft DNF.
Got you. Okay, come
I
back to it later.
Yeah, I might come back to it later. It has magical realism, which is super
Oh yeah,
hit or miss for
yeah,
me. It's not even a trope that I would say I actively don't like. I'm just very particular about it.
yeah.
And I wasn't aware that that was going to be a big part of that book. Although I do think it is mentioned in the synopsis,
Right.
but for
You're
whatever
like,
reason,
you
it
missed
wasn't
it.
clocking to me. I
Yeah, yeah,
missed
yeah,
it.
yeah. No,
So
I've done that before too.
soft DNF for now. I might come back to it with different expectations.
Fantastic. That one is one that's on my list. But my question for you that I wanted to make sure to ask is if you have not read a book, will you still vote for it? Or if you haven't like read in that category, will you still vote in that category or will you skip it?
I personally won't, but I don't have any strong opinions on the ethics of that.
Right. I love how you phrase that, the ethics of it. I know. And I am sort of like, for example, I did not vote in the memoir category yet. I probably will though, because I think there are some that I would like to see go a little further. And even though I haven't read them, is that weird? I don't know. I do feel kind of weird about it, but hey, at the end of the day, it's one vote. I don't think it will matter overall in the end. But especially too, if
For
there's
sure.
one that I'm like, I know Hannah really liked this one. I haven't read anything, maybe I'll give this one my vote.
I like that.
Yeah. There's also for both of those categories, I did read one in each and I didn't really care for them. So I will
That's
not be
right.
voting for that. I'm like, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm good on that.
Those don't get my vote.
Yeah, those don't get my vote. Any other final thoughts or questions as we wrap up the overall general commentary on the Goodreads Choice long list?
I think we covered everything. This was such a fun challenge, and I'm really excited to talk about the books that I brought because I really enjoyed
Yes.
both of them.
Fantastic. I am too. A little quick plug again to join our Patreon because by request, our patrons want to see us live react to the award winners, which we
Yes.
will do. So if you want to see that, you can see the recording of us live reacting to the nominees, and then we'll live react together. You and me and Hannah will do it together
It's going to be so
whenever
fun.
it drops. We're not 100. Are we 100%
I
sure
think
when it?
December 4th.
Fantastic. Let me mark that on my calendar. Oh my gosh.
I'm almost positive that's the date.
Yeah, so we would love to have you join us. They will be announced on December 4th. And I imagine that evening, Hannah and I will pour a cocktail and react together.
Yes, definitely pour a cocktail or a glass of wine.
I know it's going to be hard to not look at social media that day until the very end because I will definitely want to see, but I also like looking together.
We can do it.
All right. I will jump in and tell you the book that I finished first for this challenge. It is Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man by Jesse Q. Satano. And one of the reasons why I'm so glad that I decided to do this little challenge is because I never would have read this book if it hadn't been
Mm-hmm.
long listed. And I ended up really liking it. So this is technically book 2. There's a book 1 for Vera Wong, Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. I didn't read that and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to dive in. Sue me. I'm just going to dive in. And I'm glad that I
I
did.
love it.
Yeah. And so this one starts sort of shortly after where things ended in the previous one. She is loving her life. She's surrounded by loved ones. Her shop is bustling and her son has a girlfriend. And she's like, it's all thanks to me because of things that happened in the previous book. This main character is so funny, and I'm even laughing from the synopsis because it says, still, Vera wishes more dead bodies would pop up in her shop, but one mustn't be ungrateful, even if one is slightly bored. So the beginning of this is she is bored because she just had this like exciting thing in book 1, and now she's like, well, what do I do now with my time? But then Vera does come across a distressed young woman who's obviously in need of help, and this young woman is looking for connection. And Vera decides to help her out. And what follows, it's this tangled web of deceit, and they're trying to uncover what happened to the titular dead man, because that is why this woman is upset. Her friend has been missing, and in the title you find out he's dead, right? And so Vera is determined to figure out what's his real identity, what happened to him, and what's going on. How are all these people connected? I liked this quite a bit. It's funny. I did the audio for this. I thought Eunice Wong did an excellent job narrating. It was just charming, and I was brought into the story. I thought for me, when I said I wasn't going to pick it up, this is a mystery, and I'm usually more of a thriller girl. And also, I thought it was going to be cozy, and I was like, ugh, I don't know if I
Mm.
like those things, so I didn't immediately prioritize it. However, I will say I think those things are true, that it's a mystery and a little cozy, but it does deal with darker themes that I think some readers weren't expecting. Knowing, me, I was fine with it, but it
Mm-hmm.
alludes to some pretty dark things that happen in real life. And so overall, I found this to be a quick read. I found this one that kept my attention. I probably would go back and visit Vera because I thought she was a interesting character. She also has this tea shop, and of course food plays a big role into this. I enjoyed reading about that, and I had a bunch of people, when I said I was reading this, they recommended that I look toward Jesse Q. Satano's Aunties series. So I might
Yes.
look into those as well. I've not read anything by this author other than this one, but overall, I do recommend this. Very glad I read it, and I had a good time. This one is Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man by Jesse Q. Satano.
I'm so glad that was a fun surprise for you and that you
Yes, me
ended up
too.
liking it so
Look at me,
much.
look at me stretching myself.
I was going to ask you if you had read Dial A for Aunties, but it sounds
Mm-mm.
like you haven't
No,
and that
ma'am.
you are looking forward to trying.
Yeah, I would give it another.
I've
I'd give it a go.
yeah, I've read the first one. I
Oh,
haven't
okay.
continued in the series, but I have read the first one. I really liked it. I would love to hear what you thought. Okay, I read from the historical fiction category.
Love it.
Two different, I read from two different categories. This one is from
Mhm.
historical fiction, and it is Amity by Nathan Harris.
Oh, I'm
I
so
know.
excited. Yay.
Okay, so this book begins in New Orleans. It is 1866, and the Civil War is technically officially over, but formally enslaved siblings Coleman and June have yet to find the freedom that they've been promised. 2 years ago, the siblings were separated when their old master, Mr. Harper, took June away to Mexico, where he hoped to escape the new reality of the post war South. Coleman stayed behind in Louisiana to serve the Harper family and is clinging on to a hope that one day his sister June would return to him. But then an unexpected letter from Mr. Harper arrives, summoning Coleman to Mexico, and Coleman thinks that finally his prayers have been answered and he will be able to reunite with his sister. What Coleman cannot know is the tangled truth of June's tribulations under Mr. Harper out on the frontier. Disaster strikes Coleman's journey, and he is forced on the run with Mr. Harper's daughter, Florence. Together, they venture into the Mexican desert to find June, all while evading two crooked brothers who will stop at nothing to capture Coleman and Florence and collect the money that they're owed. As Coleman and June separately navigate a perilous, parched landscape, the siblings learn quickly that freedom isn't always given. Sometimes it must be taken by force. So, as you can hear from the synopsis, this story is full of adventure. This was one of the most action packed historical fiction novels that I have ever read. I do think that calling it a Western would not quite be selling it right. I've heard people say that this is a Western, and honestly, I am not super well versed in Westerns in general, so I could be wrong, but I think that I would get the wrong idea from this book calling it a Western. But I'd be curious if you've read this one and if you are well versed in the Western book landscape, let me know what you think about that. It's definitely a story of the land. There are fires, kidnappings, runaway wagons, and plenty of adventures, like I mentioned. And it is ultimately a beautifully told story and really entertaining American story of emancipation during the Reformation post Civil War era. It was multiple POV. So we get a point of view from the brother Coleman, and then we also get a point of view from June. And what I thought was really interesting is that Coleman's narration is first person and June's is third person. And I know that this is intentional, but I personally didn't know why. And I have been thinking about this for a long time. And I didn't know if maybe the author wanted us to be closer to Coleman's character and have some distance from June's character, but if that was the case, I wasn't really sure why this choice was made. I did end up enjoying Coleman's chapters more. His character's narration was really rich and his voice was very clear and distinct. That said, because the main characters of Coleman and June were so good, I do think it made some of the other less essential characters feel a little bit more shallow and underdeveloped, but this is a very small critique. Overall, I thought that this was a beautifully written, adventurous, and fun, and also hard hitting story. My final note, I will say, is that there is a dog. His name is Oliver. He's so cute and a huge part of the story. And the dog's story arc ends up really mirroring some very powerful themes in the novel. And he's really just a touchstone to Coleman's character as well. We love Oliver. We would die for this dog.
Okay.
Okay. And that is Amity by Nathan Harris.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear you review that. That is one of the ones that is on my TBR.
I
I
think you would really like it.
Yeah, I definitely think I would. I read The Sweetness of Water when that came out. Loved that. I'm
Hmm.
also a Western girly now. Having read Lonesome Dove, I feel like I belong on the American frontier. I would last 6 minutes. Like, who am I kidding? Like, I don't like to be
Yeah.
hot, but I think I like reading about it because it really transports you to that time and place.
Yeah.
So, wow, good
Okay, so is
review.
that really what qualifies a Western, is just set on the American frontier?
Sounds good to me, right?
Okay.
Let's look it
I
up.
think maybe I've just had a misconception of what Westerns are, because if you were to tell me, "Oh, Amity is a Western," and then I read it, I just, well, because that is what happened.
Mhm.
And I read it and I was like, "Oh, I wouldn't really qualify this as a Western," but maybe I just don't have a correct idea as to what Westerns are.
I just picture horses and dust, but
Yeah.
the internet, by our quick Google, is it's a Western if it is set in the American frontier during the 19th or early 20th century, often featuring classic elements like cowboys, outlaws, and Native Americans. Typically, there's themes of justice, freedom, rugged individualism, and the struggle between civilization and lawlessness.
Okay, well, here I am learning something and being schooled about my opinion because this is absolutely that.
It
So,
is?
you
Okay,
know,
okay, okay.
totally, it's
Yeah.
totally what this is.
Hey,
And not only that, but it's a, I think, really great addition to that, to westerns, because it
right.
talks about a group of people. I mean, it's post Civil War emancipation era, and I feel like that isn't always included when people think about westerns, which
Yep.
maybe that's why I wasn't thinking that, and shame on me. But this is a great addition
To the
to
canon.
the canon.
Yes. No, you're
So
right.
thanks for reading that.
Listen, thank you for understanding that it's truly not my knowledge. I just love to Google things as they come up. I'm like, oh, let's find out
Hmm.
together.
Do
Either
a
way,
little
that book
learning.
sounds excellent. This next one is not a Western. We're going back to mystery and thriller, of course, with me. And
We got to stay balanced.
we got to stay balanced. And you're balanced. I'm just in my lane. But the
Shh.
book that I am reviewing is We Are All Guilty Here by Karen Slaughter. And our patrons might be saying, but Tina, didn't you DNF this book over the summer? And to that I say, yes, I did. And I am wrong. I can admit that I'm wrong.
Now
It
we're back.
Now we're back. So I'm holding this book. It is an ARC. It doesn't even have a cover or a synopsis on it. So I don't actually know why I'm holding it because it's not really adding much to the conversation. But I do have the synopsis, and it is set in North Falls, a town where everybody knows everyone, or so they think. Until the night of the fireworks, it's the 4th of July, and two teenage girls vanish and the town ignites. You're following Officer Emmy Clifton, and these girls' disappearance is personal. She One of the girls that is missing is her best friend's daughter, and now she's like, I've got to bring her home. And as Emmy combs through the clues the girls left behind, she realizes she never really knew them and nobody did. But every teenage girl has secrets, but who would kill for them and what else is the town hiding? Now, I've had a couple folks ask me, why did I DNF this initially? And I DNF'd it. It was a time and place type novel because, again, I'm showing my characters list, trying to cover any spoilers. This on the left side here are all characters, and they all kind of come out in the beginning. Now, I knew that this is going to be a new series from Slaughter. I am typically not a series girl. I'm also not a police procedural girl. I usually stick to standalones, psychological thrillers. So for me, this was a little bit of a stretch because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a mystery. Also, you've got a big cast of characters, but she's setting it up. And I just had to be patient. And I was very glad that I was able to find the patience now as I'm embarking on this challenge because I loved this book. I loved it very much. She does a great police procedural. The other thing though that I will say that was bugging me is that in the beginning, right, the you find out Emmy's dad is the sheriff. And so he has sort of trained her in this career, for years and years at this point, and he's doing this thing called the Socratic method, which was making me bonkers. So instead of being like, well, I think it should be over here because of this, that, and the other, he'll be like, think deeper, Emmy. Why would a girl do this? Okay, if it's not the first answer, think more, think deeper. And I'm like, yo, we've got to just search. Like we've like, as though I know what I'm talking about. But it was bugging me because they would like stop the action to be like, but then what else? But why would they do that? And what would this uncover? And I'm like, can we get to the point? So that was just a personal pet peeve that ultimately I stopped caring about once I really got into things. There are a lot of details in this one, but again, she is setting up the series well and it feels fully fleshed out. Even the side characters feel like they have, a full point of view. They have a full life that's going on over there that we're just not privy to yet, but we probably will be someday. There are badass female characters in this one. I really liked Emmy. I really liked some of the other characters that we are introduced to. Also, Slaughter does impeccable research, really gets in there and gives you the data, gives you the statistics on missing girls and how much time there is. And like, if they're missing for X amount of time, what's the percentage that they'll be able to come home? I just really enjoyed that. There's also a little podcast element thrown in, not in a cheesy way, sort of more in the periphery, but that does help drive the story. Listen to me. There are twists to the very end of this one. I am just delighted that I loved this. I gave it 5 stars. I'm ready for book 2. highly recommend pick this one up. It's We Are All Guilty Here by Karen Slaughter.
Okay, so this is a new series from her.
Yeah.
And it's a new one.
New one. Yeah. Book 1, I don't think we know when book 2 is coming out yet, but I'm going to be watching.
Well, that is exciting. I like Karen Slaughter.
Yeah,
so.
She's really good. Oh, she's dark. This is dark. So I should say that. I'm laughing. This made me cry more than once. It is freaking dark. And that's not a spoiler. There's elements into this that you'll come to find out why that is, but this is dark. So just know that.
Yeah, I've only read one Karen Slaughter actually, but I think that's true. And that one was really dark, but I've heard that that's kind of what to expect from this author in general, is that she goes there.
She indeed goes there, but I'm in it now. I can't wait for book 2.
Okay, so my next pick was actually also nominated for historical fiction, but I ended up picking it from the debut selections. So it was nominated for both, and I think that it is completely worthy of either or, and that is The Lilac People by Milo Todd. I've been talking about wanting to read this for ages, and I am so glad that I finally got to it. It is set in 1932 Berlin, and we are following Bertie, who is a trans man, and his friends, and they spend carefree nights at the El Dorado Club, the epicenter of Berlin's thriving queer community. An employee of the renowned Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld at the Institute of Sexual Science, Bertie works to improve queer rights in Germany and beyond, but everything changes when Hitler ends up rising to power. The Institute is raided, the El Dorado is shattered, and queer people are rounded up. Bertie barely escapes with his girlfriend Sophie to a nearby farm where they end up taking the identities of an elderly couple and live for more than a decade in isolation on this farm. In the final days of the war, with their freedom in sight, Bertie and Sophie find a young trans man who has collapsed on their property, and he is still dressed in Holocaust prison clothes. They vow to protect him, not from the Nazis, but from the Allied forces who are arresting queer prisoners while liberating the rest of the country. Ironically, their only salvation ends up being fleeing to the United States. Okay, this book. Wow. It was so sad. It was absolutely devastating. But I am so glad that I read it, and it is such a beautiful story. And it's one of those books that has you Googling and learning pieces of history that we certainly are not taught when you're talking about World War II. This is a piece of the World War II literature that I truly have never read about before. And I'm so thankful to Milo Todd for writing about this particular group of people. A huge part of the novel was this ID card that our main character held. In the 1930s, trans folks had these certificates in Germany, and it was a form of ID for those whose gender identity was different from their assigned sex at birth. When the Nazis took power, Berlin was actually an international gay hub. It was home to 100 queer bars, 25 queer journals, and the Institute for Sexual Science, which is where the world's first sex reassignment surgeries and hormone treatments were performed by gender activist Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld. But as we know, the Nazis ultimately sought to eradicate queer and trans individuals entirely, so this card actually ended up becoming a danger for gender nonconforming people. And we see that in this story between Sophie and Bertie and their character storylines. A lot of this book felt educational, almost like I was reading a nonfiction, and this did feel a little bit distracting at times, but it did end up remedying itself a bit around the halfway point, and then it got extremely emotional, like I said, and just devastating, but in a really beautiful way. This didn't feel like it was trauma dumping on you or anything like that. It was just this really important piece of history that was really hard for these people. They were living in isolation for over a decade. The writing was really lyrical, and that was definitely a highlight of this book for me, alongside just learning so much about this part of World War history. While the overall plot structuring and pacing at times did feel a little bit staggered and unnatural, I think that's possibly just a preference for me. But also, this is a debut, and I'm really excited to see where Milo Todd goes in their writing. Overall, I would just highly recommend this book. And the audio performance in particular, I have to say, was fantastic. So if you are an audiobook listener, I would recommend that format for this book. And that is The Lilac People by Milo Todd.
Great review. I cannot
Thank
wait
you.
to read that one. Yeah, I love when books make me want to Google, make me learn or help me learn about a part of history, like
Mhm.
with the details that I wasn't aware of. Like I did not know that
Exactly.
about Berlin. I just
I
had
didn't either,
not
which is
been
why I
aware of
wanted to
it.
include that in my review
Yeah,
because I think that it was not information that I knew, and it was such a huge part of the book that I thought it might be a good piece to add.
for
So,
sure. Well, good job. So, my shelf edition is one that is a 2026 release, and it's called The Valley of Vengeful Ghosts by Kim Fu. Comes out on March 3rd of next year, and this is from Tin House. And it says, in the aftermath of her mother's death, Eleanor is unmoored. For years, her mother orchestrated every detail of her life, from meals to laundry to finances, so that Eleanor could focus on her career as a therapist. Left to navigate the world on her own, Eleanor clings to her mother's final directive: use her inheritance to buy a house. Desperate to obey her mother one last time, but finding few options she can afford, Eleanor impulsively buys a model home in a valley turned construction site, a picturesque development steeped in a shadowy history. It feels like a fresh start until the rain comes, an endless torrential downpour. As water seeps in through the house's cracks, the line between what is real and what is not begins to blur. Haunted by the stories of her clients, a stream of workmen and bureaucrats she can't trust, and visions of ghosts from her past and present, Eleanor's reality unravels, and she is forced to reckon with secrets she's buried in the dark choices she has made. Sign me up. Are you kidding? There's a therapist, there's storms, there is a creepy house. Is it mental illness or is there ghosts? Like, I am ready for this one. So that one is The Valley of Vengeful Ghosts by Kim Fu.
yes, that one sounds really good. And I am also really excited about my shelf edition. It just sounds fantastic. And that is Like Family by Karen
Yay.
O. White. Have you heard of this one?
Yes, I just got a copy in the mail.
Yes, I also just got my copy in the mail as well. This is set in Radcliffe, New York, which is an idyllic upstate town nestled in the hills and complete with artisanal bakeries, pottery studios, and hidden swimming holes. We are following Ruth and her wife, Wynn, and they are living the dream, or Wynn's dream at least, with their 4 children on their small farm, which is also the bucolic gathering place for their circle of friends. It's a sweet life, but there is a secret at its center, one that not even Ruth's best friend, Caroline, knows. What Caroline does know is that she loves and depends on Ruth and on the bond between their families. More than anything, she wants her tender hearted son to not grow up lonely the way that she did. Ultimately, no one can assure her of that, especially not her husband. He just wants things to be easy, drama free, which is impossible as he has donated his sperm to his cousin Toby and her wife so that they could have kids of their own. And now all of these children are asking unanswerable questions. And after an unexpected death in their community, all 3 of these couples are forced to confront all of the tensions that have been long buried beneath the surfaces of their lives. It says that this is richly textured and big hearted, and this exhilarating debut is an unforgettable story of the alchemy of love and loyalty that makes friends like family. So, this sounds juicy
Yes.
and entertaining and interesting, and that is Like Family by Karen O. White.
Great one. I want to read that. It sounds, I don't want to
Yeah,
say messy because I don't want to diminish it, but it just sounds complex, complicated.
exactly. Which, I love a complicated family story.
Heck
So
yeah.
sign me up.
All right. Well, that is it for today. We thank you for spending a part of your day with us. Links to all the books mentioned can be found in the show notes. And if you enjoyed today's episode, you can help us by following wherever you listen and by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps us get our show out to new listeners and grows our audience. And don't forget, if you'd like access to exclusive bonus content and community, please join us for $5 a month on patreon.com/booktalk, etc.
If you'd like to connect with us, you can email us at booktalketcetera@gmail.com. You can also connect with us both at Booktalk Etc. on Instagram and YouTube. You can find Tina at TBR Etc. and Hannah at Handpicked Books. Talk to you next week, and in the meantime, remember,
Everything's better with books. while you're getting your notes, North Falls #2 on Goodreads, it just says the new novel, Karen Slaughter, North Falls #2, published June 18th of 2026, allegedly, is when we should expect to see that one hit the streets.
That is
Yay.
exciting.